Hey everyone, this is Chris with HashRelay.net, and today I'd like to talk to you about some important news for cryptocurrencies in America. And I would also like to put out a test video. I'm going to see what kind of interest there is in technical analysis from this channel. I don't typically do technical analysis for price predictions or anything like that. I just use it for overall trends. But as you can see from this TechCrunch article, Senate cryptocurrency hearing strikes a cautiously optimistic tone, and that's very true. You can see this guy here is the chairman for the CFTC, Chris Giancarlo. He's fairly pro crypto at this point. Um, he had a lot of good things to say, a lot of intelligent things to say about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets. Um, the other guy on the panel, they don't have a picture of him. You can see him here in the background. That's Jay Clayton. He is the chairman for the SEC, and he is a bit more pessimistic towards cryptocurrencies. He definitely doesn't like ICOs as investment options because he sees them all as securities, which I would agree with. And he would like them all to be registered with the SEC. But that was really the most negative note of the whole thing, is ICOs are likely not to be seen in America for the near future, unless you're an accredited investor, which takes a lot more money than most of us have. So, with that news, we can go to CoinMarketCap. You can see that it's done pretty well for today. It's boosted the global market cap up to almost $350 billion again. And the trading volume is definitely up at $34.5 billion. Bitcoin lost a little bit of dominance, maybe a whole percentage or so, at 35.5% now. But the price gained another $1,000, back up to over the $7,000 mark, closing in on that $7,500 mark. And you can see on the daily increase that most of the coins have had double-digit gains in response to their double-digit losses for the past couple of days. And if we shoot on over to OnChainFX, we can see that our sell period is at least paused for the moment. I'll let it load its data, and we'll see what the percentages are from all-time highs. You can see we're back into the under 50% mark for a few of these. Ethereum, Decred, Neo, under 50% off. We're still at half price for nearly all of the other altcoins listed on ChainFX. So you still have time if you need to get into the markets on a pretty good sale opportunity. We're not sure how long this dip or crash or correction or whatever you want to call it in Bitcoin and crypto as a whole will last. So I suggest if you want to get in and you've done your research, then time may be short to get these basement prices. So we'll move on to some technical analysis, and I am only just learning some technical analysis tricks and tips, so I will share with you what I know, and we will do a little bit of trend lines. Now what I have open is a candlestick chart. Each one of these bars represents a candle, and if we zoom in a little bit, you can see that they have a body and that they have wicks to upsides or downsides. Now, for green candles, The bottom of the body indicates the open price, and the top of the body indicates the close price. And that is exactly opposite for red candles, where the top of the body indicates the open price, and the bottom indicates the close price. And so from that you can see green means the price has gone up, red means the price has gone down, and over time you get trends. Now the wicks on these indicate the price movements. So the price reached all the way down here for this wick, but that's not where it closed at for the day. Each one of these candles represents one day. So at some point during the day, the price reached all the way down there and all the way up here. And so you get wicks, and this can show you price movement. Now below the candle chart, you can see the volume index, and a line running through this volume index is the moving average. And volume is important to determine how much volume was bought or sold, given, again, these are in day-long bars, so you can see that for most of 2018 so far we've had low volume, and then in the past few weeks we have had, or in the past week, we have had some very high selling volume indicated by these big red bars, and then on the news of the Senate hearing we got this giant green volume bar, and so that will portend some good news, hopefully, but as you can see here, big green bars can often be followed by big red bars, so that is something to watch out for. Now this middle chart is called the MACD, or the Moving Average, Convergence, and Divergence. And this just tracks a moving average of the price over a specified time. Now I have this chart set up so that the yellow line here is 30 days, and the blue line is 15 days. Now I do this simply because that's a simple way to break up a month, and then it has a smoothing factor, if you're at all interested in that, of 7 days. So 1 week to smooth out the bar, 2 weeks for the blue line, and 1 month for the yellow line. And this chart is used to determine where the price action is likely to go. If the blue line crosses, we'll say, over the yellow line, then the price indication is likely to go up, as you can see here. And when the blue line goes below the yellow line, the price is likely to go down, as you can see here. And so crosses in the MACD indicate direction. And that's the convergent part of the MACD. Now the divergent part is if the blue line sits far away from the yellow line, as it does in these couple of places here, then the prices are going to move further in whichever direction. So as you can see here, the blue line is fairly close to the yellow line, over the yellow line, and here the prices move steadily up, but no huge swings. And then we can see that it diverges from the line quite a ways right here, and there you get 2 large green bars. So that's how you read the MACD. Now this histogram below the MACD is represented by bars, and these bars simply measure how far away the blue line gets from the yellow line. And if it's above the yellow line, then the the histogram, as it's called, will be above this 0 center. And this is good a visual representation of how divergent the MACD is getting. Now this bottom chart is called the RSI, or the Relative Strength Index. I'll make it a little bigger here. And this measures the speed and price over a given period. So the speed at which the prices move will give the line a more angular shape. So if the prices dip down quickly, you'll get a more steep negative line. And if they move up more quickly, you get a very steep positive line. And the slower that they move, or the less volatility there is, the RSI will flatten out. Now there are two measures for the RSI, which is calculated on a 1 to 100 scale, 50 being the center line. Anything that gets below the 30 line down here, as you can see, is considered to be oversold. Oversold simply means that, in market psychology terms, the prices are likely to go back up because people like to keep some value in the assets that they have put money into. And so when the prices get to an oversold state, then typically you see them come back above this 30 line and either consolidate, which is to move sideways along a line, or they'll go back up. This does not indicate price, however, as you can see through this period. The RSI shows much wider swings than the actual prices. And this is based on the length of time these prices moved. So this is not a direct indication of price, simply the likelihood of whether a price will move up, down, or sideways. So again, I don't use technical analysis to do any price predictions or to plot the points where I think it would be a good time to get into a stock. I am more of an investor in that I believe in dollar cost averaging and doing hardcore fundamental research into the different assets that you might be considering. So if you like Bitcoin, it makes sense to put money in over time, regardless of the price. But technical analysis will let you know whether or not it's a good time to put more money than usual in. So you could dollar cost average all the way up through this run up, and you would be fine if you believed in the technology and the future of Bitcoin. But it makes more sense to watch the charts and then continue your dollar cost average, but the lower the price gets, the more it's recommended that you put into assets that you believe in. Because markets have an overall upward trend. And that's where trend lines come in. Now, trend lines are simple graphical representations, right? And so my favorite are trend lines, which simply mark, I'm going to go ahead and hide this volume for a minute. Uptrends and downtrends are what I use the most, and I like to do long term. So for Bitcoin, go ahead and delete that one. For Bitcoin, we didn't get a whole lot of volatility for several years. And then sort of in the middle of 2017, it started to get slightly more volatile. But here at the end of 2018, you can see that the prices really start moving in much bigger steps. And then finally, at the end of 2017, we got exponential growth, which was followed by exponential loss. And uptrends take the lowest prices or the bottom of a trend, and they simply chart all the bottoms. Now I'll do a long-term trend. This will be about a year. We can zoom in a little further to make it a little more accurate. So we'll go ahead and touch down here. And then we want to draw the line so that it touches only the bottoms of each. And then, as you can see, over a long-term trend line, Bitcoin has always remained above this price in this continuous upward fashion. Now we also have downtrends, which we've experienced recently with Bitcoin. In this, you can call it a correction or a crash or whatever you feel, but a significant negative movement. And trend lines are quick indicators of how the price is likely to move, because humans run on a pretty common psychology, and market psychology predicts that when prices start to run up rather quickly, then they will continue to run up to a point, in which case they will fall off. If you remember a few videos ago, I brought up the market cycles chart, and you can see that markets run in waves. And this is the current wave of Bitcoin, and we're coming down into the bottom period of it. Now we can do further uptrend charting. We can start here, and we can see that our trend begins here and then touches here, and that actually creates our uptrend right there. And then as we extend it further, we can see that yesterday's prices bounced off of this uptrend at its very lowest point and continued up. Now this only extends the uptrend. All it does is confirm it. This is what actually started this uptrend here. So you can see that over the long term, trend lines are actually useful in predicting market psychology. Now again, I'm no expert, and this is not advice, but you can use these to predict whether or not a bear market, as we've been in, is about to return to positive, or whether or not a bull run like we experienced at the beginning of the year, the end of 2017, is about to end. But these are not set in stone. These are only indicators. They are not accurate to 100% by any means. So all technical analysis should be taken with a grain of salt, and speculation on price is nearly impossible. So with that being said, technical analysis is just a quick way to look at a chart and make a statistical bet as to price action, up or down. And really, I don't use it for anything more than confirming market sentiments. That's how I'll put it. So I like to use the long-term lines, and where intersections happen, we may not see one for a few days under Bitcoin because it has had a fairly steep decline, and it would take some very strong movements to the north side to come up above this downtrend line. But as you can see, the blue lines, or as I mentioned, the blue lines will act as a support and they will bounce off of them. Downtrend lines will act as resistance, so the price will typically come up to meet a downtrend line and then back down, and they will bounce between uptrend and downtrend. And this can be useful when they get into periods like this where they're very close to both an uptrend line and a downtrend line, and confirmation will come once a full bar goes either below the uptrend line or above the downtrend line, and that will indicate to some degree a change in market sentiment to either buy more or sell more. Now again, other people use lots of different tools and lots of different indicators for technical analysis. I don't particularly like using a whole lot. Trend lines, the MACD and the RSI are pretty much my go-to. So we can see that Bitcoin has bounced off of its uptrend line and still has a further uptrend line below that acting as solid support, and it's getting ever closer to this downtrend line, so we should see some price movement in a few days, if not sooner. Now the MACD, as you can see, is diverging quite a bit from this yellow line, so we may see some bigger negative moves come up, but that will be confirmed once we see the blue line extend a little further. Now the histogram is slightly leveling out, if not bringing in a tiny uptrend, but this can change in a matter of days, so that needs more confirmation as well. Now, as I said, once a price, or once an asset gets into the 30 value on the RSI, if I can extend it a bit, and then it'll come back up above this 30 line and likely will flatten out or consolidate. So what we've seen here is it's dipped below the 30 line and come back above the 30 line, and chances are that it will likely consolidate between this to the downtrend line. Now I'm using TradingView for all of this, and if you go to their indicators tab, you can see that there are lots to choose from. And these are really the only ones that I have looked into, and these are the only ones that I've studied. So if you have any hints or tips or ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Um, if this video gets some pretty good response, then I'm going to go ahead and do a series of end of day market updates, and I'll throw out some technical analysis for anyone who's interested. So if you like the video and you think this is a good idea, go ahead and click the thumbs up, click the like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. You can click the notification bell to be alerted when I come back online. So for now, I will leave you with some optimistic news for Bitcoin. Since the government is not going to ban cryptocurrencies, we could see a little bit of a rally in this down market. So as always, I'll talk to y'all later.